You are listening to Awake in Relationship, a podcast about intimacy, community, and culture in a time of great change, with Silas Rose.
Hello, dear listener. My name is Silas Rose, and you're tuned into Awake in Relationship. This is another installment of a segment I'm calling On Air. It's a little deeper dive into some of the themes I explore on the show, but also are kind of current, for me at least, in the culture that we're in right now. I really love this time of year, late summer, as it represents a kind of balance point. It's a natural transition time. In the Taoist Chinese cosmology, late summer is considered the fifth season, connected to the earth element. I'm harvesting a remarkable amount of food right now from my small rooftop garden, so I'm feeling a great sense of appreciation and gratitude for the abundance of the earth element, but perhaps on a deeper level, a real appreciation for the connections, the seen and unseen relationships that my garden facilitates. It's become a place of refuge for me, where I'm reminded that goodness exists in our world, even when it feels like things are falling apart. This past year and a half has really been an intense ride. Between COVID and the wildfires this summer, it just kind of feels like returning to normal is not in the cards, at least in the near future. At previous points in history, be it a world war or natural disaster, crisis was often a catalyst for social cohesion or group action. This was certainly the case back at the beginning of the pandemic, back in March 2020. I'm of course speaking about the response here in Canada. Canadians tend to be somewhat agreeable, socialistic kind of people. We all washed our hands and wore masks and clanked our pots for frontline workers at the end of the day. Even politicians seem to set aside their partisan dogfighting. I think I held on to this naive notion that Canadians are somehow different, that we were somehow immune from the intense polarization and partisan politics that are really kind of ripping apart America right now. But a lot can change in a year, and 2020 was really a year like no other. When it comes to the big issues of the day, like public health or the climate crisis, we are deeply divided. And this isn't a Canadian thing or an American thing. It's happening in countries all over the world. So not to be too hyperbolic, but what keeps me up at night is really the question like, how are we going to have a coherent, functioning society if we can't even have a conversation about the common good? We need to somehow find our way back to Earth, which for me at least is really the connections we have or the relationships we have with our friends, our neighbors, the people we work with. We need to find our way back to the middle way. I'm not talking about centrism, particularly. The middle way isn't some center point between the virtuous liberal elites and their opposite, pro-gun, pro-life libertarians. I feel it's something much more personal, rooted in our most basic experience of what it means to be human, and to witness and respect other people's humanity. I know this might sound like serious pie-in-the-sky thinking, but I really believe that we have more in common than what separates us. In many ways, this platform that I'm working on and the podcast and hopefully in the future programs really is kind of an open source exploration about how do we get back to that fundamental awareness. There's been so much chatter in the various corners of the internet about COVID and the coming fourth industrial revolution, aka the Great Reset. And there are, of course, many theories about what that means. There is a belief that technology will save us from ourselves, that we can outsource the big environmental and social problems of our day to powerful algorithms to figure out. I certainly don't deny the importance of these new technologies to help us navigate into an uncertain future. However, they can't fix the social problems, the basic cancer of polarization eating away at our society right now. Only we can do that. One of the greatest challenges I see happening at this stage in the pandemic, especially as people become more polarized around things like vaccine mandates and passports, is the very real possibility of long-term friendships ending, fracturing communities, and creating a new segment of the population that feel fundamentally disconnected or alienated from society. If there was ever a time to rediscover or reanimate the middle way, it's now, in our personal lives and also whatever capacity or role we have out in the world. I feel it's super important right now to resist the culture of polarization and division, to not take the bait, as the great author and teacher Pema Chodron says. I hope it's not too saccharine or simple-minded of me to say. It's really all about staying connected to love. As always, I really appreciate hearing from my audience. Send me a message through the contact page on the website at awakenrelationship.com, or reach out on the socials, Instagram and Twitter, and tell me what you're doing to stay connected to the middle way. If you've been loving the content on Awaken Relationship, I'd really appreciate just a quick review on Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps me to grow the show. I've got a great interview coming up in a couple of weeks with author and educator Betty Martin about her new book, The Art of Receiving and Giving. So if you're interested in the topic of consent and the pursuit of pleasure, especially during a pandemic, be sure to tune in. Till then, I hope you're staying with the love and staying connected.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Awake in Relationship. If you liked what you heard, please click subscribe to get the latest show delivered fresh to your device, or sign up for our newsletter at awakeinrelationship.com. Sharing is caring.